Hello and welcome once again to the Hard Brexit scenario on Football Manager 2020, where the UK has left UEFA and left to fend for itself. But on this edition, on part 8 of the Hard Brexit scenario, we're not going to be looking at the UK, we're going to be looking at Europe, seeing what UEFA has done, because it is a Euro 2020 special. We're going to see what happened in Euro 2020, plus we might have a quick look at what happened in the Copa America and any other international tournaments that have finished, i.e. the Confederations Cup. It's a yearly thing now, you see, that one. But, as promised, we'll take a little in-depth look at what happened at Euro 2020. We'll go group by group, in fact, on that front. And so let's head over to that. We'll get a quick spoiler alert here if you don't want to know who wins. Don't look at the top of the screen, basically. So it's a bit hard now. But we'll take a look at what happened in Group A, where Germany and the Czech Republic qualified from Group A, alongside Slovakia and Hungary, who were also in the group, finishing 3rd and 4th respectively. We'll take a look at the results there. Germany, obviously, Football Manager doesn't have the rights to the German national team for some reason, so we have to make do with players like Bear and just Bear and Adamat. In fact, one earlier in the tournament, I'm pretty sure someone else scored those goals. I thought it was someone called Yarborough, so that kind of tells you about Germany. But they did get the results needed, finishing with 7 points, and Czech Republic squeezed through as well. What about in Group B? So, France, Denmark, Austria, they all qualify for the next round, and Belgium finishing 4th somehow in that group. I know it's a bit of a group of death, but Belgium, being one of the best teams in the world, finishing bottom of that group behind Denmark and Austria. Not too sure about that. It started off well enough for them, 2-2 draw, and then a draw with France. But then they lost 2-1 to Austria. That's a surprising one, while France demolishing Denmark 6-1 in the final group game. Antoine Griezmann scoring a hat-trick. Mbappe with 2, Pogba with 1. A good day at the office for France, and a good group, winning 2 and drawing 1. So them and Denmark went through to the next round, and we have a look at Group C now, which was Spain, Italy and Turkey making it through. Turkey being one of the best third place teams. Russia finishing 4th in the group. Started great for Spain, 4-0 win, and Italy getting a win over Turkey. The two sides drawing 1-1, and then both getting wins against Russia and Turkey again. So kind of like the expected, what you would have expected to happen there. The only other thing was Turkey beating Russia to make sure they took the 3rd place, and apparently it was good enough for the best 3rd place. Russia losing every game. Italy are the hosts, by the way, just in case we didn't mention it. Obviously, the Euro 2020 in reality is actually hosted by about 13 countries, but in this one, because at least one of those stadiums has been removed and had to redo the Euros because of the UK teams leaving, I just did it for one set host for each time, and Italy were hosts this time, although it seems to only use like 3 or 4 stadiums, which is a bit annoying. In Group D, now this was the group of Meh, kind of, because we had the 2 first-time qualifiers in there, North Macedonia and Montenegro, plus Norway and Switzerland. Switzerland, who I would have said were the strongest team there, finishing 3rd and were one of the best runners-up. So a bit of a surprise one there. Norway and North Macedonia taking the top 2 spots. Montenegro finishing last, losing all the games, including the first game between the 2 original qualifier or 2 first-time qualifiers. North Macedonia beating Montenegro 2-1 in the opening game. Then Norway beat North Macedonia 4-0. That was their only blemish in the group stage, it appears, because they beat Switzerland somehow. Nestorovsky scoring the winner. Yes, Montenegro getting beaten in all of games. Switzerland probably qualifying off the back of that 4-1 win at the end against Montenegro. So well done to them. Group E. First Portugal, second Ukraine, third Iceland, and they take one of the best runners-up, one of the best third-place positions as well, with Bosnia and Herzegovina finishing fourth. And if we look at the results there, Portugal getting a good win over Iceland, a good win over Bosnia, and then drawing with Ukraine in the final game. Ukraine getting some decent results as well. In fact, they have a similar record to Iceland. Iceland only finishing third on the fact that they conceded 2 more goals than Ukraine did. But it was good enough to see them through to the round of 16. Finally, Group F. Only two teams going through here: Croatia and Holland in the first 2 spots. Sweden and the Republic of Ireland missing out. Ireland did get to the, pretty sure they got to the round of 16 in 2016, so a step down for them. But they did get beat by Croatia in the opening game, drew with Holland, and then drew with Sweden, so they only lost 1 game. Meanwhile, Croatia, despite finishing top of the group, did lose 4-0 to Holland in the final game, although they were already through by then. The Dutch getting... seems to be a weird order of matches there as well, because Holland played their first and second games one after the other. 2 draws against Ireland and Sweden. Bit weird, but we know who's through. So that was the group stage. If we take a look at the round of 6, in fact, let's do it this way. Let's try and let's skip back a few. We're in the group stage, so there we go. Right, so if we quickly get out the group stage, on to the round of 16, and we can see there that France beat the Czech Republic 1-0 in the opening game, Croatia defeating Iceland 3-0, and Switzerland beating Ukraine on penalties, just like in fact that was revenge for the 2006 World Cup when the two teams met in the round of 16. Then they drew 0-0 and Ukraine won that one on penalties. So if you can count revenge from 14 years later, there you go. Also in the round of 16, Holland beating North Macedonia 3-0, Portugal defeating Austria 1-0, and Spain removing Turkey from the competition with a 2-0 win. So I'd say all the expected teams are going through in the round of 16. We've got France, Croatia, Switzerland, Holland, Portugal, Spain. Teams coming into form just at the right time, I suppose. Kind of like Portugal in 2016, where they didn't impress in the group stage, but they won all the right matches when they needed to. Also in the round of 16, Norway beat Germany on penalties after a 0-0 draw. There's a bit of a shock result, so not all of the form teams going through. And finally, for some reason that happened a week later. Don't ask me what's going on there. But the hosts Italy defeated Denmark 3-0 to take the final spot in the quarterfinals. And in those quarterfinals, first up, Holland 1, Italy 3, the hosts going through after extra time, thanks to goals from Bernardeschi and Immobile. While France knocked out Norway, the team that conquered Germany, to take a spot in the semi-finals. So Italy and France in the semi-finals. Who else will be in the semi-finals? Croatia, a win on penalties after a 2-2 draw with Switzerland. Switzerland being a draw specialist from the looks of things. And Portugal beating Spain. Cristiano Ronaldo with 2 goals. It was after extra time, but it was enough. And Sergio Ramos getting sent off. There's a shocker, eh? In the semi-finals, we saw Croatia v France in a repeat of the 1998 World Cup semi-finals. France winning that one 2-0. It was also a repeat of the 2018 World Cup final, isn't it? Except only 2 goals in this one. Paul Pogba and Antoine Griezmann getting the goals. In fact, let's have a look at the goals if we can. So, looking at the teams here, pretty straightforward, isn't it? That French squad is very strong looking with it's a very strong looking side. Mbappe and then Dembele, that is a lot of pace. It's like a FIFA 20 squad. So yeah, the game opened there with a headed goal from Paul Pogba to give France the lead, 18 minutes, and then later on Pogba was the one starting the move this time, crossing in to Antoine Griezmann, who evaded the challenge from Vida and scored the goal to ensure France get a place in the Euro 2020 final. So there we go, France winning. We saw the goals, and I think it's only fair that with the other semi-final, where Portugal lost 3-0 after extra time to Italy, it's only fair that we see the goals from that one as well. It was 0-0 for 0-0 after 90 minutes, so let's go see what happened in extra time. Looking at that Portugal squad, you kind of think that maybe they're relying on Cristiano Ronaldo a bit there. Pump the ball up to him and he'll score. Clearly that didn't happen in this match. So yeah, for this we were already into extra time. Florenzi gets the ball, takes a lovely shot and a lovely goal to give Italy the lead. It took them 96 minutes, but they finally broke down the Portuguese resistance. Then in the second period, with 5 minutes left to go, Chiellini passes over to them. Pellegrini gets the ball and he does pretty much the exact same thing Florenzi did in the first half of extra time. So it's 2-0 to Italy, and then in the final minute of extra time, Immobile takes the ball, goes for a run, doesn't stop, and then glides the ball past Rui Patricio. I believe that's who it is in goal, but Italy win 3-0 and they're in the final against France. So the hosts against just one of the best teams in the world. Who won? If you're looking up there, you probably already know. It is France. They won 3-1 in the final. And how about we take a look at the goals in that one as well, because it is the European Championship final. So let's take a look at the goals there and the teams as well. So we can see there wasn't too many changes, I imagine, seeing as these two teams did make the final. The French team once again looking pretty strong, but they did make a couple of changes, as I can see Umtiti in there instead of Laporte, but it was still Dembele and Mbappe with Griezmann up top. A pretty pacey squad. No Pogba though. So there we have it. Donnarumma puts the ball down, gives it straight to Mbappe. Mbappe scores. Easy opening goal for France. Took 69 minutes for them to get it. All they had to do was wait for Donnarumma to make a mistake. Then, with not too long left, they had it again. Lemar got into the box, passed it. Nope, took a shot. Griezmann got the ball off on the rebound and made it 2-0 to France, but we weren't done there because Italy were on the attack in injury time. Well, not even injury time, they were in the last minute of the game. Pellegrini put the ball forward to Ciro Immobile and he did what he did in the semi-final, glided it past Hugo Lloris. It was 2-1. Was there a comeback on the cards? No. Lemar ran down the left wing there, and was he going to take a shot again? Yes, he was. Exactly the same thing happened with the second French goal. Griezmann there to lap up the rebound and give France the Euro 2020 crown. So well done to France. We can make it official here. There we go. It's on the past winners list. France beats Italy in the final in Italy to win Euro 2020. We can have a quick look and see if the awards work on this one. It's not looking like, well, it might not be on there just yet because we're only on the same day. Have any of these changed? No, so they might be announced at a later date. In fact, if I just click continue for a second, or go on holiday for one day. Okay, so I've holidayed for a day and apparently the awards aren't working for this tournament now, so oh well, not the end of the world. But instead we can have a look and see what happened in the other international competitions that have happened over the summer of 2020, starting with the Copa America, which yes, has just well, completed a couple of weeks earlier. We take a look at what happened to these. Now this is apparently how the format is now, because I didn't recreate this one because it wasn't affected by any of the changes I made. So in this one we now have two groups of 6. Qatar B squad and Australia's B squad are the guests invited for the Copa America, as they always have 2 guests in, but instead of having 3 groups of 4 they now have 2 groups of 6. So qualifying from Group A were Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia and Ecuador, and qualifying from Group B, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile and the Australian B squad. So in the quarterfinals we saw Ecuador beating Uruguay, Australia B beating Venezuela 2-1, Colombia beating Chile on penalties, and Brazil beating Argentina in a massive game over in Medellin. In the semi-finals, Australia B couldn't make it any further, losing 2-1 to Ecuador, while Brazil beat the co-hosts 2-1. So they've beaten both co-hosts in the quarter-final and the semi-finals. Could they beat Ecuador in the final? Well, we'll find out in a moment. In the third place playoff, Colombia beat Australia B 2-0 to send the home fans happy, while in the final, Brazil beat Ecuador 2-1. So well done to Brazil, winning the Copa America once again. How many times? That's twice in 2 years, because apparently because of the format change, they've moved on a little. But it was then again 2019 was the first time they've done it since 2007. I always thought it was a regular occurrence for them. If we have a look now, I believe the Oceanian Nations Cup has happened. Yeah, the actual tournament has finished, although there's also this World Cup Oceania qualifying section that they had in real life, although it's kind of redundant now because we changed the actual World Cup qualifying process. But if you want to have a quick look and see what happened, obviously there's not too much to it because it's not that big a competition for us because we're looking at the big squads, but let's give them a bit of respect. So Samoa won in the first round, eliminating Tonga, Cook Islands and American Samoa, while in the second round, 2 groups of 4, Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea winning from Group A. In Group B, New Zealand and the Solomon Islands getting through. New Zealand, shocker, winning that one. While in the semi-finals, Vanuatu beat the Solomon Islands 2-1 and New Zealand beat Papua New Guinea 3-0, leaving us with a final of New Zealand 2, Vanuatu 0, and they're making it official. It's on the list, even though technically the competition hasn't actually finished because they got this World Cup thing that is redundant. Finally, we'll take a look at the Confederations Cup, and it's the yearly competition for countries outside of FIFA. Technically, it is the CONIFA World Football Cup, although not all of them are official CONIFA members. But we'll take a quick look at that one as well. So, as you can see there, Group A was won by Guadeloupe, with St Pierre and Miquelon going through. Also in Group B, Bonaire and Tuvalu going through. Group C, Martinique and Mayotte, and Group D, French Guiana and Réunion going through. And then in the quarterfinals, Martinique beat Guadeloupe, Bonaire beat Réunion, French Guiana beat Mayotte, and Tuvalu knocked out St Pierre and Miquelon, giving us semi-finals of French Guiana beating Bonaire 1-0 and Martinique beating Tuvalu 3-0, the hosts making it into the final, and the hosts winning the final 3-1 against French Guiana. I believe they've retained their crown as they won it in 2019 as well. Can they make it 3 in a row next year? We will find out probably in about 6 or 7 parts time. So that's it for this edition. I hope you've enjoyed. Next time we're going to skip ahead only about 4 days really. We're going to go to this 1st of August, where we'll take a look at what's happened in the first 1 or 2 games of the Brexit Champions League Season 2, and we'll probably have a look and see if some of those squads have been spending their hard-earned money, and seeing if there's any new signings for the smaller sides, because obviously those big teams have all got all those teams that finished first in the English leagues have had £80 million pumped into their coffers. So have they been spending it? We will find out next time. So until then, like and subscribe and rock on.